this is pure stupid, and he's entering my wheelhouse here because I've done a lot of this sociological research here. He's making it as though there's something special about being European or having white skin. There's no evidence at all whatsoever that somehow makes you special or somehow is responsible for Western civilization. It's just blatantly false. I got studies. For example, there's one paper here that I have by Robert Woodbury, which I have cited numerous times, Missionary Roots of Liberal Democracy, noting that the colonial officials were going out, exploiting resources, taking it back to Europe, and Christian missionaries were the ones who were saying, like, no, you got to treat these people like equals. You just can't take their resources, and they would organize the people to form non-governmental organizations to rally for colonial reform, these types of things. There's another paper here that I have on, this is what page is this? So it's from the British Journal of Political Science, Competitive Religious Entrepreneurs, Christian Missionaries in Female Education in Colonial and Past Colonial India. What they note in this paper is that they did an OLS model and a multivariate analysis, and they looked at different factors of what led to more female education. Ultimately, it was missionaries, what they concluded. But they also note in this paper that direct British rule or colonialism did not correlate with increased education levels for boys or girls in India. So Western civilization didn't create better education in other regions. It was directly Christian missionary activity, which is not directly tied to being European. The benefits of Western civilization did never come from white skin, ethnicity. It's come from trade, resources, geography, and Christianity. Those are the main factors. It has nothing to do with white skin. He is basically committing a correlation causation fallacy here. He doesn't have any idea of the history of the sociology here, and he's making all sorts of fallacies. Is it constantly promoting Christianity? He will lead people away from his ideas. Like there's a study called Unchurched Christian Nationalism in the 2016 U.S. presidential election, which showed that Christian nationalism arises among the least churched individuals. Another paper, Christian Nationalism and the Views of Immigrants in the United States, noted that, again, the least religious promote anti-immigration policies. The more religious people are, Christian religiosity, that is, the more likely they are to be pro-immigration. Kenneth Vaughn, who's a friend of mine, also published a study. The study is Religious Moral Communities and Secular Tolerance. He noted that basically religious service attendance is associated with more generous policy preference, particularly for Protestants, Catholic, Eastern Orthodox Christians, and Muslims. He also says national percent Protestant, regional percent Protestant, and regional percent Catholic are associated with respondents offering more generous policy preference at the national and regional levels. Percent unaffiliated is associated with more restrictive preferences. So ironically, the more he promotes Catholicism, the more people are going to be open to other races, more immigration, less nationalistic ideas. And I covered all this in my video. Does Christianity cause Christian nationalism? So he's sowing this destruction of his own movement, because the more he promotes this stuff, the research shows people will lead away from his ideas. This is why he won't really grow to become anything special, because his own core tenets contradict each other, and he doesn't even realize.
What kind of fantasy land does this guy live in? Like,
Yeah.
let me break this down for you very quickly. All right, so I'm pretty darn white. I married my wife. She's half white, half white, half Asian. Her sister is half white, half Asian, who married a guy who is half white, half black. My brothers are part Hispanic. Their dad was half Nicaraguan. And my oldest son is courting a woman who is half white, half Hispanic. And so the point is, like, that's how quickly you don't have to go back very far to where you weren't allowed to be mixing races. And now here we are just a few decades later, and everything is being mixed up. So the point here is, 20 years from now, what hope do you have? It's all mixed up. Yes, you will still have like just, pure white people over here, pure this over here, and something like that. But the bulk of the population is going to be some level of mixture, which means if you really want to rile up a crowd about race, you have to do it right now, because 20 years from now, you're going to sound even more idiotic and insane than you do right now. And so this is why you got to make your move now, white nationalists. No white.
Yep. He's talking about, if you want to be part of his movement, you got to be spiritually strong. And as you said earlier, David, like, manipulators don't just say utterly false things. They'll say some good things. So he throws in a couple of things in here about being strong with God, but here's one something that really stuck out to me. He's talking about you got to be like strong. You have to be like spiritually strong if you want to be part of this movement. Well, that's the opposite of what we see in the New Testament. Like 1 Corinthians 1:27. Okay, God chose the weak things of this world to put to shame those things that are strong. Psalm 41:1. Blessed are the ones who are considered weak or poor. The word there probably more means weak. So God uses the weak. So God chose Gideon, the weakest of his people, in the book of Judges. God chose the disciples to shame the Pharisees. They weren't learned men. God chose David, the youngest of Jesse. He's all about strength, power. You got to be strong, powerful, be with me. He's saying the exact opposite things of what Jesus said. Jesus taught, I will take the weak and use them to do great things. He's like, no, I don't want any weak people around me, because his real God is not Jesus. His real God is power. And that's what he's always been about. Jesus is a convenient label he can throw on his real God, which is power. And that's always what he's doing in this. He's worshiping power, worshiping hate, these kinds of things. Nothing he says is Christian. The reason why the Jewish population got so rich has more to do with the Catholic Church than anything else, because the Catholic Church outlawed usury in the Middle Ages. Protestants started to allow it, like John Calvin was one of the first to start talking that this isn't really a sin. But so everyone needed to do banking, so they just went to the Jewish people. And the Jews got really rich from their banking system that they basically had to run because they filled a void that the Catholic Church outlawed. So they outlawed usury among Catholics. And so just because of the way things naturally flow, the Jewish people got really rich from banking. So if you want to blame anyone, Nick, blame the Catholic Church. Okay, quite honestly,
Jews were driven out. Jews were forbidden from many of the regular jobs that other people occupied. Jews were basically forced into specific circles. And picture this: just think about how Hollywood became so occupied by Jewish people. Do you think it was like Jewish people built this whole thing with the precise aim of saying, we will build this industry, we will establish Jewish power. This is only for us. No, it happened as a necessity. Jewish people go westward, again, there is that word, go to California, for example, in this case, since they are familiar with the history of Jews not being very welcomed in different sectors and different industries. They take advantage of something that is currently emerging, currently developing, and they think, hey, this is a job that we can do. They establish small-sized businesses where they make films, where they propagate things, where they to engage in entertainment. And what happens is, okay, I'm Jewish. I have this cousin who is also Jewish. He's looking for a job. He can't feel safe working on all these other things. He is alone right now. I should probably hire him, and we can be together in this job. Jew hires Jew because of the history that others inflicted upon them, and there you have a Jewish industry. It didn't develop as a secret force, as a secret power, led by a secret deep state or by a secret organization that specifically wanted to establish this to conquer the world. It happened as a very natural process, as a necessity, as a consequence of living in societies where being a Jewish was not necessarily welcomed.
Yeah, let me give you another example, AP.
Yeah,
I'm from West Virginia.
Yeah,
all these white guys run the coal mines.
Whoa.
So let's see here. Young Christian men need their concerns addressed, but as 1 Peter says, with gentleness and respect. And yeah, that's absolutely right. There are young Christian men being disenfranchised by people on the far left and people in power like Hollywood. And it's horrible, but we don't fight fire with fire. There are a lot of racists on the left. Like my wife tried to join a group on finances, and they teach you how to manage finances because she wants to get into that kind of stuff. So we can start doing retirement stuff. They let everyone join except cis white men, which is ridiculous. Why would you discriminate just on that? So there's a lot of disenfranchised people, but we don't fight fire with fire. We don't become racist to attack racism. We become Christians, and we love and we pray for our enemies, and we become better for them. Read Justin Martyr's first apology. He's worried the emperor's about to kill him, and he's saying we still love and will pray for the emperor because we're commanded to. We don't become like Nick Fuentes. We become better than them. Nick wants to turn you into them. Don't do that. Become a better person. Everything he says is leading you away from Christianity.
Excluding white cis males is based.
You could say that. You're Turkish. What is real? Look at the specimens, lads. Okay, this guy's a racist. So I don't know what he's talking about.